right, next up we have Alex Stranomir talking about space conspiracies, myths, and fake news.
Hello everyone, my name is Alex Stranomir, and today I'm here to present space conspiracies, myths, and fake news. So, since the start of humanity, we've always looked around and wondered how something works, and we've always had theories and conspiracies about the space and the world around us. So, I'm going to start off with ancient myths and theories. So, first off, the ancient Chinese believed that the Earth was a square and that we basically lived on that. The ancient Indians believed that the Earth was like a circle and we were floating on a giant ocean or something. The ancient Egyptians believed that we lived on the Earth, and as you can see, there's like the sky is suspended by 4 mountains. Basically, in most ancient cultures, the moon and the sun are considered to be gods. Now, the first time ever recorded that the first time it was reliably documented that the Earth was round was by the Greeks, and the first time this was actually confirmed by legitimate scientific evidence was when Magellan actually circled the Earth, and you would think that this is enough proof to prove that it's round, but we'll see about that later. Yep. So then people started wondering if the solar system is geocentric or heliocentric. So in essence, if the sun is at the center of the solar system or the Earth. So the first time that it was mentioned that the solar system is heliocentric was in Indian. It was an Indian philosopher. And basically, we don't know for sure if it was the first time, but it's the first time that was documented. Next, Anaxagoras, also a Greek, was the first guy to say that the sun is a star and not a god, which may seem like nothing, but it's actually pretty significant. And next, another Greek philosopher was the first guy first Greek guy to say that once again, the solar system is heliocentric. However, he ran into a few problems when the church actually strongly opposed to this, because they argue that since humans are like God's favorite creation, apparently we must be at the center of the universe, so it's not possible that the sun is at the center. Also, Greek mathematicians, as you know, they're pretty good at math. They actually argued that this is impossible because if the Earth did circulate around the sun, then in that case we would see like a parallax. So in other words, the stars should be moving on the sky. That's because the relative position of the Earth to the stars would change as we rotate, and they did not observe this phenomenon. And this is actually pretty legitimate evidence. But the thing is, at the time they didn't have any good equipment, so it moves very slightly. Today, we can observe this, and the thing is, they didn't anticipate that the stars were really as far as they were, because since they're so far away, the change is so tiny, it's almost invisible. Next, Ptolemy, the reason why his model is important is because it was accepted for almost 1,500 years, and basically, his model was very special because it's the first actual model that was very accurate. Like, it predicted the positions of the planets very accurately for the first time. And once again, this model was actually accepted for 14 centuries. And as you can see in the diagram, the planets actually rotate twice, like once around the Earth and once on its own orbit. And that's because to compensate for retrograde motion, which is basically, you see planets do something like this, and then on the sky, and he said that this rotation is what causes it. But what really causes it is the difference in speeds of the planets as they circulate the sun. That's the real reason, because if you think about it, the angle which you're looking at, as you say, the Earth passes the sun faster than Jupiter, so well, for us it'll be something like this. on the sky. So yeah. So eventually, Copernicus and Galileo basically confirmed that the sun is at the center of the solar system. And yeah, you would think that by now, everyone agrees. Yep. So next I'm going to move on to modern myths and conspiracies. So you'd think that by now, pretty much everyone, all the modern theories are based on solid, concrete scientific evidence. My first theory is that the Earth is flat. Yeah, so most of us think it's a sphere. There are some who believe it's flat, and there is even a society for this. By the way, are there any flat earthers here today? I can't see anyone because of the lights. Also, fun fact, like the UN logo is basically the exact same as the flat Earth logo. Yeah. So you might be wondering, okay, if the Earth is flat, then how does day and night and the seasons work? Well, basically they say that the sun and the moon basically rotate on a circle, like above the Earth, and they say that the sun is basically unable to illuminate the entire planet from that position because, well, like the light rays aren't strong enough or something. And also notice how small the sun is. And for seasons, basically this ring that they rotate on essentially grows and decreases in size. Also, you might be wondering if it's not a sphere, well then, how is it possible that we have gravity, right? Well, the thing is, according to them, the entire Earth is accelerating upward at 9.8 meters per second squared. So that's why we experience gravity. And actually, not only the Earth, the entire solar system. And basically, to demonstrate this theory, think of like if you were on an elevator or like a rocket, and it was kind of like, when it's going upwards really fast, you kind of feel like heavier. There's like a force downwards. So as you can see, that's what they argue. And also how they explain the fact that gravity, like, it changes based on altitude. They explain it as the moon and stars pull you upward somehow. Also, this is actually one of the most legitimate proofs for the flat Earth theory, and it's called the Bedford level experiment. So what they did was they had this river called the Bedford River, and basically it's 6 miles long, and they calculated that if the Earth was round, after 1 mile, an observer on an end should not be able to see a boat that's traveling to the other side. After 1 mile, it should disappear from view. However, for all 6 miles, it remained in view. So, does this mean the Earth is flat? Well, not quite, because what happens is there's refraction with the air. So, essentially, the closer to the ground, the more dense the air is. So, essentially, because the index of refraction is higher closer to the ground, the light will actually curve. And also, they hit the right spot off the ground because the height off the ground that the observer is looking also depends, and somehow they got the exact right spot so that the curvature of the Earth was balanced out perfectly and like the light rays bent over. So I'll have to email Chris Hadfield to find out because I'm not quite sure. So a second theory is that the moon landings were fake. By the way, 6% of all Americans believe this. So the first major piece of evidence is that the flag was waving in the footage from the moon. And how NASA explains it is that basically as they tried to put it in the ground, like the vibrations continued after they took their hand off it, and like that's why it seemed like it was waving. Also, there's no blast crater under the lander, and how they explain this as well is that the ground is too like dense or something, so basically the blast wouldn't like destroy it. Also, there's no stars in the picture, and you would think that if this was fake, they would have thought of putting stars, but the reason why the cameras don't pick it up is because they weren't calibrated, quite simply. Also, filmmaker Stanley Kubrick, the guy who made 2001: Space Odyssey, he actually claimed to have assisted NASA in faking this. We don't know if it was just a prank or anything, but Also, 3 astronauts, shortly before the lunar landing mission, they died conveniently, and the theorists claim that this was organized by the government to cover up some secret, because apparently they were going to release top secret information to the press, and so how can the moon landing be real if the moon isn't real? So also, moving on to my next theory, the megahex on Saturn, which is the hexagon-shaped thing on the North Pole, is basically alien technology, or according to these theorists it is. So it's not fully understood why it's there. We think it's because like certain theorists at Oxford University tried like spinning fluids in like a bucket, and they noticed that if you spin certain fluids at different speeds, somehow like geometric shapes form, so that might be why. They also believe it could be the remnants of a giant alien gas station, but we're not exactly sure why it's happening. Also, it's so big that the one side of this hexagon is larger than the Earth's diameter. So I believe it's just a natural phenomenon. My next theory is that the music heard by Apollo 11 astronauts Apollo 10 astronauts as they were circling the moon on the dark side of the moon, they say that this is alien. Basically, as they're on the dark side of the moon, they started hearing like whistling noise in their like receivers, and they believe that this was emitted by aliens. I actually listened to this, and let me just tell you, it doesn't sound very nice. So I actually think aliens should stick to visual arts, not music. Most likely this phenomenon was just radio interference, but yeah, we're not sure. Next, Obama went to Mars. Some people actually go a step further and say he was born there, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. So apparently Obama, as a teenager, was part of a top secret CIA project to explore Mars, and he was teleported there twice using a teleportation chamber called the jump room. And of course, as you might imagine, the White House denied this ever happened, but we all know this may be fake, So I think awesome theories are insane theories are awesome, sorry. So obviously, another theory is that the aliens have visited Earth. So the main argument is, well, if the universe is so big, then like the chances of life existing somewhere is, really high. It's possibly infinite. So also there's structures on Earth that they claim might actually be built by aliens. For example, the pyramids, we're not exactly sure to this day how the Egyptians actually built it. And then Nazca lines, which are like kilometers across, we're not exactly sure, how they actually did it with so much accuracy. There's apparently UFO sightings, Roswell, alien abductions, Area 51, which is the most well-known, military base, which is often associated to aliens. Hollywood claims it's true. And also, if they did exist, how could they even get here? Because the universe is so vast, and there's like a speed limit called the speed of light. So if they did exist, how could they possibly get here? Because if you think about it, the closest sun to us is 4 light years away. So it takes a minimum of 4 years to get here, assuming the light speed is, the limit. So some planets could be hundreds of millions of light years away. So, and if you think about it, we've only been, like advanced for a couple thousand years. So, yeah. So terrific fiction premise, but probably no visit so far. Finally, my last conspiracy is that the universe is a simulation, and I think this this theory, it's the only one out of the ones I just mentioned that I might actually believe, because the universe around us seems to be based on basic mathematical laws, such as, for example, like phi, the golden ratio. Also, Neil deGrasse Tyson said that our odds are 50-50 of existing in a program. Also, it's actually impossible to prove or disprove this theory because any evidence gathered in this universe could be part of the simulation, or in fact has to be part of the simulation, so it's literally impossible to prove. So the advice given by a few scientists is to just go out and do interesting things, because that way they won't shut you down. Yep. So if the programmers are, watching me right now, please give me a taco. Nope, I didn't think so. Thanks for watching. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Do you have the sound after that?
I don't, but it sounds a lot like wind.
Okay.
I don't have it though. You can go online and it's published.
We're all stunned and
Okay.
Have the flat earthers estimated our velocity at this time?
Well, they think.
Accelerating 9.2
Well,
60 meters per second squared.
well, the thing is, well, okay. It's complicated because if we continued accelerating like that, eventually we hit the speed of light. But obviously that's impossible. So it has to do something with, the special theory of relativity. But I don't want to go into that. I don't think so. Also, by the way, I forgot to mention this. The flat earthers have members all around the globe.
All right, thank you very much.